Welcome to Child Abuse Awareness with Darlene J. Clark.
Hello everyone, welcome to another episode of Child Abuse Awareness with Darlene J. Clark. Be a part of the solution instead of part of the problem. Gotta cut that down. This trafficking operation, Lightning Bug, in San Antonio, Texas. Copyright disclaimer under Section 107 of the Copyright Act of 1976. Allowance is made for fair use for purposes such as criticism, comment, news reporting, scholarship, and research. Fair use is a use permitted by copyright statute that might otherwise be infringing. Nonprofit, educational, or personal use, tips of balance and paper of fair use. I'm going to score this at the bottom of the page. If you suspect someone is a victim of trafficking, contact the National Human Trafficking Hotline at 1-888-373-7888 or report anonymously at humantraffickinghotline.org. Hello everyone who came in. Thanks for joining us. We will find out in a few minutes. And I like these certain facts I will go ahead and state right now. With the Leeberg-Melton also described sextortion as a growing form of trafficking that uses coercion to force sexual conduct or imagery. When you have someone that you are holding something over their head and then you are asking them for additional photographs or additional sexual, then your sextortion. Also, the biggest myth is that it happens somewhere else. And it happens to someone else. She said, until we start recognizing that people have value, no matter who they are, where they come from, what they've done, or what's been done to them, we will continue to excuse some level of exploitation. I think it's very imperative to note that. Hey, Bucket Leas, good to see you. Thanks for coming in here. Hey there, Chris. Good to see you too. Thanks for coming in as well. Love and prayers for all. I want to go ahead and I love the fact that these people were caught. So we're going to get it. Let's get on with the show. Hello, everybody that are here. I'm not sure what's not letting me see certain links in Facebook at the moment. Sorry about that. Please come in and say hello. Hit the thumbs up, please. So let's get over here to, it closed one of my streams earlier. Trafficking operation saves more than 30 children. 120 more return home after Texas bust. See that again. trafficking operation saves more than 30 children, and they were missing, okay? 120 more returned home. The combined efforts of local and federal authorities saved over 30 children and busted several trafficking operations across Texas. The San Antonio centered operation was dubbed Operation Lightning Bug. It saw teams of authorities from the U.S. Marshal Service join up with the San Antonio Police Department's Missing Persons Unit, Special Victims Unit, and Street Crimes Unit. They were able to utilize state and federal crime databases to coordinate rescue efforts for at-risk juveniles across the state, and the results speaks for themselves. 3 arrests were made on those harboring runaways, and 9 felony warrants were executed. Over 30 missing juveniles were located, and more than 120 additional missing kids voluntarily returned to their homes. Additionally, 6 sex trafficking victims were rescued and connected to resources, and 5 new trafficking investigations were opened. Yes, all of the juveniles rescued were interviewed, and those who had been victimized were set up with services to help in long-term healing and protection. The safety of our children is the safety of our communities, and justice demands that we protect those who cannot protect themselves, said U.S. Marshal Susan Pamerleau in a statement regarding the operation. Through Operation Lightning Bug, we reaffirm our promise to safeguard the most vulnerable and strengthen the safety of our communities. Every suspect arrested, juvenile returned home, and survivor taken out of harm's way matters. Let's just hope and pray that the ones returned home were not returned home to parents who initially trafficked their children. Let's hope and pray. San Antonio Police Chief William McManus added, "This operation demonstrates what can be achieved when law enforcement agencies unite to protect children." Founder and CEO of the Institute to Combat Trafficking, Kirsta Leeberg-Melton, told Fox News Digital that the issue is something the state has struggled with for some time. Trafficking is something that the city of San Antonio and the state of Texas and the nation have been grappling with for a considerable period of time, she explained, noting that traffickers often choose their victims based on levels of instability in their lives, such as lack of proper housing, support, and food. They are easy they are easy pickings for traffickers to take advantage of. They exploit these needs by offering these items and then calling in debts and putting those kids in a position where they are able to exploit them for sex or for labor. Of course, when they're younger, a lot of them are kidnapped. Leeberg-Melton also warned that most Americans underestimate the scope of the problem that trafficking poses. Trafficking is the exploitation of men, women, and children for forced sex or forced labor by a third party for their profit or gain. That's been around forever. What hasn't really been around is people's understanding of that crime and their knowledge that it's happening everywhere, she said. As technology advances, traffickers are early adopters and adapters of technology. The internet allows them to connect with victims and buyers far beyond their local area. American citizens can traffic American citizens on American soil. She added, noting that the majority of prosecuted trafficking cases involved American victims and perpetrators. The biggest myth is that it happens somewhere else, and it happens to someone else. Until we start recognizing that people have value, no matter who they are, where they come from, what they've done, or what's been done to them, we will continue to excuse some level of exploitation. I'm going to get back on that other link I accidentally got out a while ago. It should be highlighted right there on my page. Yeah, here it is right here. And I want to show y'all something. Operation Lightning Bug leads to arrest and new investigation targeted trafficking of vulnerable youth. Okay. So I like how this one starts out. Federal and local authorities rescued more than 30 missing children and uncovered multiple trafficking operations targeting vulnerable youth during a coordinated crackdown across Texas. So let me teens from the U.S. Marshal Service out of San Antonio, Del Rio, Midland, and Pecos joined forces with San Antonio Police Department's Missing Persons Unit, Special Victims Unit, Street Crimes Unit, and Covert Operatives. Together, they combed through Texas and national crime databases to identify at-risk juveniles and coordinate recovery efforts. Okay. More than 30 children rescued in San Antonio area here. Look at these other little articles right here. See? It's got sextortion scams against teen boys skyrocket after COVID, Watchdog says. Okay? So that's another news article that has, okay, the results of Operation Lightning Bug. 3 arrests for harboring runaways. 9 felony warrants executed. 6 sex trafficking survivors rescued and connected with support services. 5 new trafficking investigations opened. More than 30 missing juveniles located. More than 120 additional juveniles voluntarily returned home, clearing their names from missing persons database. Each recovered child was interviewed by SAPD's Special Victims Unit to determine whether they had been victimized. Survivors were referred to support services provided by agencies such as Health and Human Services to ensure long-term care and protection. U.S. Marshal Susan Pamerleau for the Western District of Texas said in a statement that protecting children remains central to the Marshal Service's mission. Okay, she stated the same things I said a minute ago. The safety of our children is the safety of our communities, and justice demands that we protect those who cannot protect themselves. Exactly. Through Operation Lightning Bug, we reaffirm our promise to safeguard the most vulnerable and strengthen the safety of our communities. Here's the U.S. Marshal Service and the local law enforcement right here have been cracking down on trafficking operations. San Antonio Police Chief William Manis echoed those sentiments, praising the effort as an example of law enforcement unity. It's great when everyone unites to try to combat this. Every suspect arrested, juvenile returned home, and survivor taken out of harm's way, matters, McManus said. This operation demonstrates what can be achieved when law enforcement agencies unite to protect children. The U.S. Marshals conducted a sweep under the authority of the Justice for Victims Trafficking Act of 2015, which empowers the agency to recover missing or endangered children even when no fugitive is involved. The law is also led to the creation of the USMS Missing Child Unit, which leads similar recovery efforts nationwide. And see, there's another article right here. Do y'all see it? 4 charged in Texas with smuggling children across border while posing as parents. See how big that this story is on trafficking? The U.S. Marshal Service said protecting children remains central to its mission. Okay. Kirsta Leeberg-Melton, founder and CEO of the Institute to Combat Trafficking, said operations like this one underscore the larger issue of exploitation in Texas and beyond. Trafficking is something that the city of San Antonio and the state of Texas and the nation have been grappling with for a considerable period of time, she said in an interview with Fox News Digital. She said traffickers often target instability, children without consistent housing, food, or family support. They're easy pickings for traffickers to take advantage of, she warned. They exploit these needs by offering those items and then calling in debts and putting those kids in a position where they're able to exploit them for sex or for labor. Then it says Youngkin credits Trump administration with bolstering anti-human trafficking efforts. Thank you. Leeberg-Melton said the public often underestimates how widespread trafficking is and how much it has evolved, especially online. Trafficking is the exploitation of men, women, and children for forced sex or forced labor by a third party for their profit or gain. That's been around forever, Leeberg-Melton said. What hasn't really been around is people's understanding of that crime and their knowledge that it's happening everywhere. Sorry. She added that traffickers increasingly use technology to recruit and control victims. As technology advances, traffickers are early adopters and adapters of technology. She said the internet allows them to connect with victims and buyers far beyond their local area. That's why parents need to keep a watch on their children, their online activity. Migrant sex crime surge in major U.S. city tied to Biden's open border. Mexico, safe haven, former judges. Okay. Traffickers are increasingly using technology as it shows right there in that picture. Leeberg-Melton emphasized that trafficking is not limited to border regions. No, it's not. American citizens can traffic American citizens on American soil, just like my parents did me, and then took me around different places, and these other people exploited me and took me to other places, and it just goes on and on. And she said, adding that most trafficking cases prosecuted in the U.S. involve American perpetrators exploiting American victims. The biggest myth is that it happens somewhere else, and it happens to someone else. Until we start recognizing that people have value, no matter who they are, where they come from, what they've done, or what's been done to them, we will continue to excuse some level of exploitation. Leeberg-Melton also describes sextortion as a growing form of trafficking that uses coercion to force sexual conduct or imagery. When you have someone that you are holding something over their head and then you're asking them for additional photographs or additional sexual conduct with a threat, that is a form, frankly, of human trafficking, she said. So, okay, if somebody's trying to exploit you and threaten you and saying you better do this or that, you're being sexually exploited. If you suspect someone is a victim of trafficking, contact the National Human Trafficking Hotline at 1-888-373-7888 or report anonymously at humantraffickinghotline.org. Again, the hotline's number is 1-888-373-7888 888 or go online anonymously at humantraffickinghotline.org. I want to thank everybody for coming. I'm so proud that some children were rescued. Praise God on that, right? We score this at the bottom of the page, which gives the information out there. So make sure y'all write it down to have nearby. Maybe y'all could print it up on paper. Maybe y'all could hand it out to anybody you might see. So be sure to get the word out. I like this little hand gesture that is the help me sign, which a lot of y'all might not know or unfamiliar with. Let me show that sign again. This is the help me sign. Oops. Okay, I tried to get the help me sign up, but you see it at the top of the page here. If y'all can see it. You do your palm up, put your finger in, your thumb, then you close your hand over that. Make a fist. That is a help me sign. They could even be having a hand behind them going in a downward position. So be careful and watch out. If you see something, say something. Please don't look down on people. You might see a kid that looks poor walking down the street. You don't know. You might be thinking, oh, that's a nasty boy, right? You don't know whether or not he's being trafficked. You don't know what he's dealing with. We need to learn to stop judging by what our impressions are. We need to start trying to help in whatever way we can. I want to thank you so much, and God bless y'all.